Hi, my name is Martha Zink and I'm with Soliant Consulting, and this is the 6th video in the series Delve into FileMaker 12, and we're going to talk about merge symbols. Now, one of the things that FileMaker has given us before is the ability to merge both fields as well as variables. So I'm going to jump into layout mode. And for example, what if I wanted this to say event dash and then give me the name of the event so that it was easy for the user to see what event they were on without having to find the field? Well, I can go to Insert and choose Merge Field, and I'm going to choose the name of the event. Jump into Browse mode, and you'll see that as I change records, the data updates in the header as well. Let me show all records here so I can flip a little more. So you'll see that as I change records, the data changes, and we've had this for many versions of FileMaker. The one thing that was added more recently was the ability to have variables. So a script would set a variable, and then we would show that global variable on the layout. Well, the example for that is the open screen. When I jump into layout mode, you'll see that I have all these global variables getting set at the opening script. So just take a quick look into that. All it's saying is set variable title to delve into FileMaker 12, and so on and so forth. So that added a little flexibility because now we can depend on the scripts to help us get the data the way we want. But what we have now is the ability to use the get functions in FileMaker and put them directly on the layout. So in this example, in the event list layout, we see that we're logged in as Martha Zink, and what it's pulling there is the username. Now you'll notice that it looks a little bit different now in that it uses the squiggly brackets to denote a get function or a merged symbol. Now I think that's great, and I know we've used it like this before, and we still have the ability to do things like current page and current record and things like that, but I think the place where I'm going to use it the most has to do with the number of records that I'm looking at. So when I'm in browse mode and I go in here and search for the word expo and I get 2 records back, if I'm hiding my toolbar, it becomes very hard for the user to know how many records they're looking at. Well, 2 records isn't so bad, but let's pretend we have 50, right, or 100 or 2,000. It can definitely be hard for the user to just kind of get an idea of how many records they're looking at. And in older versions of FileMaker, we would have to create a calculation to handle that. But now I can add a text box, and I'm going to insert other symbol. Now these 5 symbols here are also part of the other symbols, but these are some of the more common ones, so they've left them on the screen there. I'm going to click on other symbols and search for found count. Be aware that these are the exact same thing as the get functions, just without the get prefix on them. So I'm going to choose found count, and I can say get the found count out of, and then under insert other symbol, I'm going to choose the total record count. Throw this on the layout, and when I jump into browse mode, I now know that I'm looking at 2 out of 11, and when I go in here and type in, start searching for crawfish boil, I get 1 out of 11. So I like the way that works. But you may have caught it in my quick find mode. When I go into find mode, it still says 1 out of 11, which is actually not accurate from the user's perspective. Now the function is accurate in that it's telling me that I have 1 request, and if I were to make a new request, then I have 2 out of 11. So that 11 part is actually totally misleading, and the 2 part has nothing to do with the number of records that I'm looking at. Instead it has to do with requests. So what can I do? Well, again, I really like the use of this functionality, and I can use conditional formatting to have it work properly. So I'm going to add conditional formatting. It's going to be a new formula. And I'm going to use the get function. So get window mode is going to tell me if I'm in find, browse, layout, or preview. And I can say if the get window mode equals 1, which means I'm in find mode. I want to hide the text is pretty much what I want to happen. So what I can do, kind of a workaround to make that work, is I'm going to make the font size really large, so I'm going to set it to 300 point, which in essence makes it disappear from the layout. So in browse mode, I can see that I have 1 record out of 11, and that's what, we can confirm that with the toolbar. And when I jump into browse mode, you'll see that that text disappears because of the conditional formatting. I genuinely think that this is the place where I'll use it the most, especially for places where I'm hiding the toolbar. Now, there are other functions that are going to require screen refreshes. So let me add a new text box and let me add a new symbol here. And I'm going to choose window left. And then I'm good. Now the nice thing about these is that you can type them in if you know them. So window top, window height, and window width. And when I go into browse mode, I should get the numbers of where the left is, the top, the height, and the width. But notice that if I change the size of my window and move my window, those numbers don't update. Now I have a script here that's going to refresh, and you'll see that now my numbers update. And again, if I click on that every time, I do get that to refresh. Now, I personally can't see a way of using these at the moment. That doesn't mean there isn't a reason. For me, I like the idea of using the data viewer for that kind of stuff. So I can say, get the window left, for example, and I can monitor that. And when I move my window, I can refresh values here. So I don't have to have the script. I don't have to add the text box to the layout. But I'm curious if there is a place where we're going to be using a refresh on a window to update certain variables on the layout. Now, if you have any examples of where you think you'll be using this, I'd love to hear about it. Please leave some comments. So I hope you're able to implement this and use these in your solutions. Again, I'd love to hear about it, and thanks for watching.